The following video presentation is brought to you by Bezel Triple 3.
Hello, Bezel Triple 3. As a Christian, I'm trying to make sense of the recent earthquake in Haiti. We're talking about the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere that ranks 203rd in gross domestic income out of a total of 229 countries. A country that has a life expectancy of 60 years. Then comes a 7.0 earthquake. The capital city of Port-au-Prince has basically been leveled. The statistics are staggering. 200,000 people have died. 70,000 bodies have been buried so far, many in mass graves. We're talking about so many people dying at the same time that there is no time or place to put the bodies, and so they're being disposed of along with the rubble.
But for most of the dead, there's scant ceremony. Here, no one's even counting. Just outside the capital, a Haitian government truck dumps bodies in a pit, along with trash and earthquake debris.
The TV news and online videos have been showing images of people trapped in buildings, others struggling to survive with wounds and infections untreated by the lack of medical assistance. We've seen people fighting over what little food and water there is to be had, and many forced to drink contaminated water from the streets. The amount of human suffering has been mind-numbing. And we who are far away from Haiti cannot see the tears or taste the dust in the air or smell the sickly stench of death. It's so easy for us, not affected by this disaster, to turn away and focus on other things. But there are nagging questions that won't go away. Why did this happen to the people of Haiti? Weren't they suffering enough already? And the real troubling questions lurk deep within us when any disaster of this magnitude strikes. Where was God? If He's all-powerful, then why didn't He prevent this? And if He's truly a loving God, then why would He allow it in the first place? So what is the proper Christian response to man-made and natural disasters? The first thing to remember is that we live in a fallen world. God said to Adam after he had rebelled, "Cursed is the ground because of you." In other words, all creation was now going to work against Adam and his descendants. We're told in Romans 8 that all creation was subject to futility because of the fall of our first parents in the garden. Knowing that we live in a fallen world provides the Christian with a reason for the pain and suffering that comes upon people and provides an answer to the problem of evil. See, an understanding of human sinfulness makes us ask the right questions. We need not bother with, why do bad things happen to good people? For there are no good people, at least morally speaking. Romans 3 will convince us of this when it says, "There is no one righteous, no, not one." And knowing that all people are morally corrupted and as bad off as they can be, the real question is, why does anything good happen to anyone at all? The second thing the Christian needs to remember is that death, whether it happens to one person at a time or 200,000 people at a time, is the consequence of the fall. God said to Adam basically, you disobey, you die. And the fact is that God keeps His promises. You know that 40,000 people die every single day in this world? We're just not aware of it. Death is the enemy, not earthquakes. The third thing to remember is that God is sovereign over all things that come to pass. Nothing in this world happens by chance, but rather by God's decree. In Ephesians 1:11, we're told that God works all things after the counsel of His will. All things include catastrophes. God is working even in catastrophes? Yeah, when bad things happen to many people at one time, God is still in control. And there's a passage in Isaiah 45 that helps us here. God tells us through the prophet, "I am the Lord and there is no other. I am the one forming light and creating darkness, causing well-being and creating calamity. I am the Lord who does all these things." As difficult as this might be to comprehend, God decrees disasters. Floods, famines, earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, and erupting volcanoes, they are all directed when and where they happen by God's decree. So, if God is ultimately the cause of all things, including disasters, the question arises, is God judging those who died in the Haitian earthquake? I mean, Pat Robertson seemed to think that God was judging them because Haiti made a pact with the devil.
Something happened a long time ago in Haiti. They got together and swore a pact to the devil. They said, we will serve you if you'll get us free from the French. It's a true story.
That's right. The Haitians brought the earthquake on themselves in a deal with Satan.
So the devil said, okay, it's a deal. And they kicked the French out. You know, the Haitians revolted and got themselves free. But ever since, they have been cursed by one thing after the other.
A curse. A servant of God using Haitian folklore to explain the death of tens of thousands. Rings a bit unchristian?
Well, let me tell you, Pat, that was a dumb comment. Mankind made a pact with the devil ever since the fall of Adam, and God has promised to punish all forms of ungodliness. In Romans 1, we read that God's wrath is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men. Everyone, even children, are under the divine judgment of God because of inborn and actual sinfulness. So whether a person dies after a long life or is punished by death at a very early age, the outcome is the same. Everyone ultimately gets exactly what they deserve: death. God has shown us a history of His bringing disaster to people who disobey Him. The worldwide flood, the plagues in Egypt, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. But can this particular earthquake in Haiti be included in that list? I don't think so. First off, the flood, the plagues, and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah were foretold by an inspired prophet of God. Secondly, all the wicked were destroyed in these judgments, and the righteous were spared. So plainly, no, this was not God judging the people of Haiti. But what we can say is this falls within God's providence of His created order. God's providence is His upholding, directing, and ordering and governing of all things. And this, of course, includes earthquakes. Now, in relation to the end of this present age, Jesus said that nation will rise up against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places. There will also be famines. These things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. In other words, this earthquake, like all others, are the preamble and the warning to the final earthquake of God's judgment at the end of this present age. I refer you to Revelation chapters 6, 11, and 16. So the Bible's very clear as to why bad things happen in this world, but it's also very clear as to the what we should be doing about the suffering that is in the world. Christians are commanded to provide comfort and aid to those who are hurt and whose lives have been destroyed by this earthquake, just as we're to provide aid to anyone who is in need. We can do this by donations and, if able, more direct involvement. But what every person needs to hear from Christians is that we all face a final day here on earth, whether by death or by living until the return of Jesus Christ in glory. If you or your loved one had been one of the people who died in the Haiti earthquake, where would your soul be? Where would the soul of your loved one be? This life is short, no matter how long you may live. Today could be your final day. The Bible says that only those who are trusting in Jesus Christ alone for salvation will be saved from God's wrath against sin. This is why the gospel is such good news. Jesus Christ laid down His life, a sinless, perfect life, and exchanged it for the life of sinners who trust in Him. He received the punishment that sinners deserve and died the death that sinners owe. He endured the ultimate disaster of experiencing the torment of the turned face of God so that sinners like you and me won't have to. Are you trusting in Jesus Christ alone for your right standing with God?